Hey, this is KJ, and
TC.
today we are doing kind of a interview book review kind of thing. I hope you guys enjoy. Comment below if you guys have any questions in comments about this process. But I'm gonna let TC take it away.
Thank you. Okay, so just starting off fresh, the book, The Summer I Turned Pretty. Give me a brief summary of the novel.
So, pretty much the general summary of the novel is The Summer I Turned Pretty is by Jenny Han, and it's pretty much based on a character named Belly and kind of exploring her interpersonal relationships with her mother and her mother's best friend Susanna and her two sons, Conrad and Jeremiah. And so pretty much they have this tradition that they kind of like go to this beach house during the summer months, and they do a whole bunch of different, summer activities. And Belly kind of like slowly realizes that she's in this kind of love triangle with two of Suzanne's sons, and kind of exploring other themes of coming of age, like drugs, insecurities, growing up, etc. Those kind of like preteen themes and teenage themes.
Interesting. Okay, so going off of that, with the sort of what I'm picking up is maybe some adult themes here and there. What would you say is the target audience? Who would you recommend the target? Who would you recommend that the target audience is?
So I noticed that on Amazon there was a target audience of 12 and above. And so in general, they are targeting preteens, which I think is kind of problematic, but it's because there is some occasional scenes. I think there's like 2 or 3 scenes in the book where Conrad is having drinking problems, and I just don't think that's really appropriate for a 12-year-old. Although I do realize that not all 12-year-olds are the same, and not all 12-year-olds are immature. I just think the average 12-year-old, especially in the US, is just not mature for those themes. And also there's discussing of skinny dipping. So, yeah. If you know what that is, you know what that is.
I would be the biggest advocate for writing stories purely based around skinny dipping. Not true. Just purely a joke going on. What type of writing style is in this novel, The Summer I Turned 18?
Well, I do notice that it's very informal and it's in first person, and which those two aspects of the writing style isn't inherently the problem. But what I found the problem with this writing style, her writing style, is the fact that it's so centered around Belly's thoughts and her impulsive reactions and kind of her viewpoint in the world, instead of like her kind of like stopping and like, I don't know, like it's just focused on just her, like her thoughts. And there's not really much going on in the novel besides like mundane like actions and such.
So going like building off of that, would you say that like even the pacing of the book, The Summer I Turned Pretty, would you say that that's also sort of like a mundane pacing? Would you say like 90% of the time you had to like really like force yourself to get through each chapter, or did you have to sort of just like let the book like take you away, if it even had the ability to take you away and whatever?
I think it was a rough read for me because I'm so used to books that have more meaning and more like in-depth concepts and stuff like that, and I just felt like The Summer I Turned Pretty was just kind of like, let's just do a book about teens who are self-centered, because of course all teens are self-centered. Haha, I'm joking, guys. um but or not joking, but I'm being sarcastic. um and so I felt like those were just themes and that were troubling. And I think I told you the other day, TC, that kind of The Summer I Turned Pretty is just another version of Diary of the Wimpy Kid, where Gregory, we all know that Gregory is this self centered individual and he is developing as a person. But also, he's in middle school, right? Versus Belly is a self centered high schooler. And I think that's a very not so good thing to be pushing in this day and age for high schoolers who are a step from 3 or 4 years from becoming an adult. But yeah, I just felt like Belly was just kind of the female version of Gregory, and I know a lot of people are going to be upset with that claim. um, and I feel like the reason why I have less issues with Diary of a Wimpy Kid versus The Summer I Turned Pretty is I feel like Gregory and Diary of the Wimpy Kid is so aware of the fact that he's a selfish individual. I mean, and you see it out of I think I read 3 or 4 books, and you could tell Gregory knows, and he also doesn't really take himself too seriously either. Versus Belly, she just thinks that all the time, and she takes herself very seriously. So yeah.
All right, good stuff or bad stuff, depending on who you ask. Um, did the overall narrative, so the ending of the book, did the uh, narrative conclude sort of respectfully to the story, or did it sort of leave itself open for the eventuality of another sequel book or prequel book to come along and sort of pick up the story from where it left off?
Yes, everyone's gonna know me by the end of this video as the certified hater of The Summer I Turned Pretty, because it is such a horrible story. The ending of the story was just crappy. It I feel like it was kind of like this general like, oh crap, I've been so selfish this entire time and I didn't realize, spoilers guys, that Susanna was dying of cancer. So now I need to try to like not be selfish. And then 5 seconds later she's telling Conrad that he needs to sacrifice his time for her and that he loves her and he just knows it. And Conrad at some point he looks back at her. I don't know the specifics of what he says, but he looks back at her and he's like, hey Belly, the world doesn't circle around you. And I felt like that was the one part of the book that the book was kind of like self-aware of itself a little bit. But I don't know if Summer of Pretty is like one of those like insert books. There are 2 other books in the series. And the ending of the 3rd book is very upsetting.
So going off of different reviews from similar individuals who reviewed the book, I noticed that there were some obvious like paste in their 5 stars to sort of get the book's ratings up there. I did notice, however, there was a strong push for this not being that popular of a book. I wanted to get your opinion on this. Where do you think the majority of this book's popularity is coming from?
Not to be mean, y'all, but I generally think this popularity is coming from TikTok, the book side of TikTok. I'm not a hater of Book Talk. Book Talk has introduced me to a lot of good books, but it's also introduced us to a lot of horrible books. And I also think the reason why it's so popular is because of the TV series on Prime. And just in kind of general, this author just in general being a popular, mainstreamed kind of celebrity almost, because again, she's done maybe up to this point 3 films, and she has a Netflix. She has 2 seasons of a Netflix show. And on top of that, she has The Summer I Turned Pretty, which has 3 seasons now, I think. So she's just popular. And a lot of the stuff that she's promoting is just her work. And people are kind of falling into it because they think it's good. But yeah, I think that's why, I guess.
Interesting. And to sort of just wrap this around the bend, this may come as very obvious. This may come as not so very obvious, depends on who you ask, I suppose. Did you enjoy the book, and what out of 5 stars would you give it?
First and foremost, I don't think this book is horrible, but I think it does kind of promote problematic viewpoints on teens and preteens. And if I'm being honest, y'all, I gave it a 0.5 out of 5. So I'm going to say this is one of the worst books I've read in 2025 so far, which says a lot because I read Hunting Adeline. Well, I didn't really read it, but I read parts of it. And I've read The Ritual. And those are also books that I didn't like either. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's my rating.
Awesome. Sweet. You may find individuals who agree. You may find individuals who will strongly disagree. Just take them as you get them. Thank you for listening to everyone.
Yeah, this is KJ and TC wrapping up.